the podcast to fill my brain. Movies and Task, Reddit, Minute of Sports, betting $1 and Joel the Game, Quora and questions from real listeners, all that and more on Joel the Podcast. Bzzz. Hello everybody, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast, Joel. Welcome to episode 125 of Joel the Podcast, a perfect cube number. What a monumental episode number.
Yeah, I personally cannot wait for when we start hitting those perfect, what's beyond cube? There's not a good word for that. Never mind.
Tesseract.
This is cool. Yeah, I mean, when we get to episode 625, right? That's the next one.
Well, that's not the next one. That's just the next one for 5.
The next one for 5, yeah.
4 to the 4th is 256, so that's much more within reach.
Yeah, that's like we're halfway there almost.
Yeah. And actually soon we'll be hitting 128, which is like 2 to the 8th.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot.
Or 2 to the 7th or something like that.
We've done 2 to the 4th probably years ago, 2 to the 5th years ago, 2 to the 6th years ago.
Yeah, so we'll be hitting 2 to the 7th. Anyway,
incredible.
Enough about numbers. Welcome to this episode, and I wanted to start off by just letting everyone know that Nathan does not owe me $1.
Yeah, Alex does not owe me $1. I feel like we started that bit up again, went pretty hard, and then never paid any dollars, and then...
Yeah. Did we bet $1 on the game show, or am I just making that up?
I have no idea, and honestly, I think at this point the listeners are going to have to tell us. So right now, why don't we just confidently assert that nobody owes anybody any dollars.
That's pretty traditional.
And then if somebody emails us and informs us otherwise, we certainly won't fact check it. We'll just assume that it's true.
Sounds good.
So that said... you actually reminded me this time to open the email. Wait, we should do the sports minute first.
Let's do it. Can you pull up the 1 minute timer on your phone, please?
Oh no! I was about to congratulate myself for pulling up the email in advance, which really isn't that impressive because I had just said that you told me to pull up the email in advance. But then I just didn't do the 1 minute timer at all. All right, here it is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Boom. Start. Begin.
Yeah, you didn't hit start. No.
I didn't hit start? How about now?
There we go.
There we go. I can see a change.
Yes. Well, a lot of sports stuff going on. NFL just finished the regular season, so we have the playoffs coming, so that's pretty exciting. The Detroit Lions.
Are the Eagles good?
The Eagles are the number 2 seed in the NFC, so that's pretty good.
All right.
Detroit Lions are the number 1 seed
saying.
for the first time in their history, so that's pretty exciting.
It's crazy.
We have the college football playoff going on right now. Oregon, who was the number 1 seed, already lost.
To Purdue.
No.
Right?
No?
Oh,
Penn State is still in it, which is like big news around here.
True.
So I can't wait for them to lose to Ohio State eventually. And college basketball's going. Purdue's ranked number 20 right now. So they've been not as good as last year, but still good. And basketball and hockey are also going on, but I've run out of time. So is there an audible? Okay, there we go.
There you go. Dismiss is what we want to do here. Thank you, timer, for timing the sports minute.
The rare
what a sports minute it was.
Yeah, the rare sports minute where I feel like we actually covered a lot of sports news. instead of
It's
just one
interesting
random
'cause-
thing that I talked about for a minute.
Because there's just been such a high density, and I suppose we mentioned some specifics. That felt like a very high level sports minute. Like we didn't really get into any sort of, discussion or analysis. But I suppose that's what the sports minute is for, right? Because nobody cares about that stuff. Just
Yeah,
us.
that's a great question. What is the sports minute for? Like, originally it was because we liked talking about sports, but then we reduced it to a minute.
Right.
I feel like when David said reduce it to a minute, he didn't say get rid of it. He said, like, I like having like a little dose of sports because I don't follow sports myself.
Sure. You
But
get the like sense of sports happening around you,
right.
but it's just
But I don't know that like he's actually, or anyone listening is actually better served by me saying a lot of information about different sports versus just talking about like a really good like golf shot you saw a video of on Reddit. Like,
right.
so you know
Yeah,
what?
maybe
Go ahead.
maybe it's time to rethink the sports minute. Maybe we need to have our. It used to be we would like have our sports discussion, and then the sports minute was just a summary of it. But maybe this is a minute of like a sports highlights, not necessarily a sports
An interesting
news.
sports story. Honestly, here's the thing. I honestly don't think anyone gives a crap about the sports minute. Like, I really don't think any of our listeners care about what we say in the sports minute.
So now does that include us? I almost want to say it does, right? Because it's not that interesting, I think, to talk about sports in that way to me. Is that unfair to say?
I think that's mostly fair. I like at the end of every sports minute, I always want to talk about sports more.
Yeah.
So like I do like talking about sports.
Right.
So in that sense, I care a little bit about it. But yeah, like I would certainly be open to be like trying to change the focus of it.
I have a proposal, and this is not at all related to what we've just been talking about.
Uh-huh.
But for a future episode, listeners, you're gonna have to email us in order to shoot this down, unless Alex shoots it down immediately. What if we did one of these times a podcast minute where we like had our topic thought up in advance. We did that for 1 minute, and then we talked for an hour about sports, just like whatever we felt like.
That falls into our class. We should come up with a name for the category of jokes that are funnier to say than to actually do. We should call it like a Joel joke or something like that.
A Joel joke?
That's a Joel joke for sure.
Yeah.
That's not a great name, but it's better than calling it jokes that are funnier to say than to actually do. So if you can think of a better name than a Joel joke, let us know. Send us an email. Where can they find our email, Nathan?
They can find our email by going to our website, which is alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website/index.html. Did I get that right?
I think it was right. I wasn't paying full attention, but it sounded right.
Okay, I immediately after launching into it, all I could think about was how I had said so many words for my intro without then taking a breath. And so I knew I was going to be...
Classic blunder.
Yeah, it's been a while since I did it, I think. I think the past couple episodes we've had, you revealed the website or introduced the website or whatever.
If you are a listener and you have never said our website out loud, I want you to try and like say it as part of a sentence. Like if no one's around you or something, just like try and say like, if you want to know where to email us, visit our website at alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website/index.html and like experience, like you really can't understand what it's like to like run out of breath unexpectedly in the middle of a sentence you're saying until you like just do it. Like it's just so weird.
Yeah, it's not even about the amount of talking. It's just that there's no point in that, phrase where there is a natural spot to take a breath like there is. And so, because I can say it, I can talk, I can, create a sentence, I can craft a series of words longer than that, name of the website. Just continually talk for a while, but
for example, listen to one of our episodes.
Here's a Joel joke. We should monologue for an episode. Just one of us front to back, just stream of consciousness. I think that'd be interesting to listen to.
And this is our podcast, Joel. And then just literally an hour later, like, all right, well, that's it. Thanks for listening. I'm Alex.
No. It's time for the Sports Minute now.
Oh, no. That is.
We probably need to podcast more regularly because I think our podcasts are turning into a little bit of us having these dumb ideas for podcasts rather than being the actual podcast. And I feel like if we did podcast more regularly, we'd get that sort of stuff out of our system by just kind of like either doing it or talking about it outside the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yes. Maybe we should just like talk outside of the podcast ever.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Can our relationship survive not being in a podcast?
I just imagine us getting together and talking for like an hour and a half, and not turning that into content for like 3 people. Isn't that?
That was well framed.
Just bizarre.
We actually have done that before. If you remember, actually, like when we started the podcast, we were like friends who hung out like outside of we hung out like before we had a podcast.
So you're saying like before we did any podcasting ever, we used to just like talk about stuff for a while and then not podcast?
Right, we didn't record anything. We just talked about stuff.
Okay. What sorts of timers did we set about sports?
No timers.
No timers. What a world.
Yeah.
What a way to live.
So you're saying are you saying you don't remember this at all?
All I remember are the past, I don't know, what is this, 14, 15 minutes of content that we've been creating now?
I think you may need to see a doctor.
Wow. What a topical
What a segue, right? Except that we still have to go through the email, so kind of screwed it.
If we podcasted more regularly, we'd be better than this.
All right, I'm gonna say that again after we do the email. So,
right,
Nathan,
perfect.
do we have any new emails?
No.
Okay. And now I already forgot what I was supposed. Oh yeah, I think you should see a doctor about that.
I don't know about that. It's so hard to know what to do to manage and improve my health.
Wow, what
if
a
only
segue.
There was,
Good thing today we're talking
something
about... Today we have a top 10 list for you that I think everyone can really use. Like, it's going to be really beneficial to everyone. And that is top 10 healthy lifestyle choices. Now, I will just say, we are pretty much experts on healthiness because we're both super healthy.
Yeah.
So we really know, this is like, a lot of this is... Excuse me. A lot of this is advice straight out of our lives,
right.
Or just like our experience of seeing other people be unhealthy, in doing some of these things. So, do you have any preface to our list?
Yeah, I just really think so. We spent 5, 6 minutes before the podcast coming up with these things. So many minutes.
It was arduous.
Yeah. And I think that's a testament just to how complicated and insightful each one of these things on this list is. And I feel comfortable. I mean, I'm not a doctor, right? This isn't medical advice.
Sure.
But I feel comfortable making a legally binding guarantee that if you do these 10 things...
And, sorry, just to interrupt you, we're not lawyers, and this is not legal advice.
Yeah, absolutely
but
not.
This is a legally binding guarantee that you can't hold us to and sue us if it's wrong, but go ahead.
Exactly that. If you follow these 10 pieces of advice,
Mm-hmm.
you will be healthier, guaranteed.
Literally guaranteed.
There's no way that you
This
can
is a
become
Joel the podcast
less
guarantee.
healthy. Right. We don't give out too many of those. The only other time we did it, in fact, I think was off the air when we guaranteed that we would talk about sports for only 1 minute, and then we
we've
would talk
never
about the
broken
sports
that.
minute for more than 1 minute afterwards. And yeah, you're right. We've never once strayed from that strict time scale. So that's how you know this is the real deal. We're taking this really seriously, and these are things that are going to change your life.
Now, I want to give a personal anecdote that's not that interesting in true podcast fashion. So recently, I've been seeing, I don't know why this is, and maybe now that I say it out loud, it's actually maybe a little bit concerning, but I've been seeing a lot of, on YouTube, a lot of ads for BetterHelp, which is the online therapy service. And then also sometimes I see, and I feel like not to get too political here, but I feel like BetterHelp is kind of like the kind of like liberal like mental health kind of thing. And then I also see these like ads that are like, how about instead of self-care you fucking do something. That's like a paraphrase of what they say, but it's like I'm seeing like these two ads that are just like very like contrasting, but trying to get at the same thing of just like helping people be healthy. And so if you are like, you know, in that same boat of one side or the other or getting both, whatever, like this is really going to help you because we're cutting through the noise to get you like the true tips that will lead to a healthier lifestyle.
Right. These are not political health tips. Let's put it that way. These are the furthest possible thing from political health tips.
Yes. Unlike politicians, we would never lie or waste your time. These are real.
Exactly.
All right. Wow. It'd be really funny if like number 10 was like an overtly political health tip.
Number 10, vote for Donald Trump in the next election. I know he's not eligible to run again, but when's that ever stopped him? All right, that's not actually number
And let's
10.
just say it'll be very detrimental to your health if you don't. Okay. All right, why don't you read the real number 10?
He would never put out a hit against you if you didn't vote for him. That's for sure. All right. Let's take a step back, right? Because health is a serious topic, and we're serious.
Yeah, sorry,
people.
we shouldn't joke about this.
Yeah. No more jokes for the rest of the episode, unfortunately. If you came here for our sense of humor, then just
shut
just
this
turn
one
it off
right now. This is going to be fully real and no jokes. All right,
yes,
go ahead.
For sure. All right. Number 10. This is a real health advice. This is one that I abide by on a daily basis. Number 10 is drink lots of water. Now, some of you out there may be saying, you know, oh, that's super obvious. Like, you know, I drink several cups of water a day. And to that I say, several cups? Are you crazy? That's not enough water. You need to drink as much water as physically possible. If you're not speaking, if there's not air coming out of your mouth in the form of words, you should be ingesting water. And if you need to hook yourself up to some IVs or like some tubes or hoses of some sort to make that happen, then I'm sorry, but that's just the health advice that you need to hear right now.
Yeah, and I feel like... Go ahead. Finish.
Just liquid inside you as much as possible.
A lot of people don't know this.
Right.
But, like, because they can't see us... No, I'm not saying this advice. I'm saying what I'm about to say. They don't know. But you don't know this because you can't see us. But actually, we are both have, like, giant, like, jugs of water behind us and, like, a tube that, like, when we're not talking, we are just drinking water constantly. For sure. Like, literally, every second that we are not speaking, we are just drinking water.
Yes.
Nathan just drank, like 4 gallons of water just while I was saying that.
Yeah, you know those big, like, 5-gallon jugs that'll sit upside down on top of the, like, office little water dispensary things?
Yep.
I usually go through one of those every few minutes. I've actually perfected my ingestion technique. It used to be that I had to, like, sip out of them like a cup. But now
like a freaking noob.
I know, like some kind of amateur water drinker.
Yeah.
But now I have transcended to such a degree that I put my mouth up to those things and I, essentially inhale, and the entire container just crushes into a pancake. All of the water enters my body in an instant. It's actually pretty. I mean, let me be clear. I wouldn't advise you to try and do that right away. Because if you're familiar, like water has a lot of inertia, right? If you're making it change directions by going into your body, like down your throat, you can actually, it's very, very dangerous to try and ingest water that quickly if you've not trained. Because if you try and do that, it'll just come out of the back of your head.
Right.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, what training did you do to be able to drink the water in that way?
Okay, so what I did was I went to the store, right?
Uh-huh.
And I bought one of those big jugs.
Right.
And then I looked at it and imagined like what that jug would look like if it was smaller. And I
When you say smaller, do you mean like literally like shrunk, or do you mean like pancaked like it is after you drink out?
Oh, no. Yeah, this is very important. Let me be clear. I mean like a little miniature jug.
Okay,
like
got
if you
it.
imagine the shape and proportions of the jug, but just like
Right, I understand.
1 inch long.
Right.
And then I pretend, right? I just imagine, because you can't buy a tiny jug like that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I just imagine just a little like.
Well, I really wish people could see the motion you're making right now.
Yeah. That's the key to it all, really.
Just to describe it for the listeners.
Yeah.
Imagine holding a tiny jug between two index fingers and then using a finger on your other hand, like on the back of the thing, and then pushing the finger that's on the back closer to your mouth, like you're just pancaking it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I started there, right? And once you get the little jugs, you can work your way up to medium jugs. Still imaginary, of course, because you can't buy those in like any other size than 5 gallons. That's the whole point. You just work your way up and up like that until one day your imagination has reached the size of the big jug. Mm-hmm. And that day you can sense, right, that today's the day. You don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's time for you to face
You're
this
either
trial.
going to die or drink this entire jug. One of those two things is going to happen.
That is absolutely right. And luckily for me, I did, in fact, knock the entire thing back in like a fraction of a second. I've actually witnessed, very, very tragically, several people die by increasing the size of their imaginary jugs too quickly. And I think that's what gave me the patience and the resolve to increase it at just the right proportion. So that is definitely something that you should think about, and just follow your heart with your imaginary mini jug sizes, and you'll get there one day.
What an inspirational story.
Yeah.
I drank so much water while you were telling that story. All right. I think we've covered the drink lots of water, number 10.
Yeah.
Pretty much beat that to death. I think everyone gets it. So let's move on to number 9. This is a piece of advice that I think a lot of people need. Don't drink too much water. You know how like over the past, I promise this is going somewhere. You know how over the past like 7 years phones have been getting bigger?
Yes.
I feel like water bottles have been doing the same. Like 10 years ago, if you saw someone carrying around a reusable water bottle, it was unusual. But if they were, it was like, a normal size, like 24 ounces. Now, I've seen people carrying around like jugs. Little jugs of water, like 128 ounce water bottles. That is ridiculous. No one needs that much water. Just drink. And in fact, you don't need any water. Like, the less water you can drink, the better. If you're drinking water, that's already I can already tell you bad. It's wrong. Okay, so just dump it down the drain, throw out the container, and just pray that you're gonna survive that. Drinking
Drinking water is actually so detrimental to your health that not drinking water and just
Sorry to interrupt.
hoping
Do you
that
know
you'll
how
be
many
fine
people
is
per
better.
year... Sorry, I'm just upset about this. Do you know how many people per year die from drinking water? I don't either, but I'm sure it's a lot. All right, go on.
Yeah, I mean, that really says it all right there, right? Like, water is the number one cause of drowning in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water is the number one ingredient in lots of poisons.
Good point. And acid,
Um,
too?
Acids, lots of acid in water. In fact, not only acids, but I would also argue that bases are also often water based.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I would say... No, I already forgot what I was going to say. That's very tragic. It was going to be hilarious. Anyway,
Let's all just
yeah.
imagine how funny it was.
Yeah, water is dangerous. It's as you were pointing. I mean, if you inhale water, instant death. That's really
Right.
bad for you.
Right.
Really, you just want to stay as far away from it as you can. Would be my advice.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't even remember the last time I was dumb enough to drink water, and I'm really thankful that I was able to survive long enough in my life before I found out how important it was to avoid drinking water.
Yeah, and here's something that you might not think about actually when it comes to not drinking water. Is when I moved to this apartment. This is wow, almost 5 years ago now. I moved in and I had these little rectangular hygrometers, the like little humidity displays. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but go on.
All right. Well, on Amazon, you can for like $10, you can buy a 5 pack of these bad boys, and they're just little rectangular LCD screens that have the humidity and the temperature on them, and like they're not that accurate, right? But
Sure.
it's and I had those. I happen to have those because it's kind of important for some like 3D printing things, right? To manage the humidity of the spools. For some of the plants, they prefer a certain level of humidity. I've just got various reasons to know how wet things are. And when I moved in here, it averages in this apartment like 40-50% humidity. And it wasn't until like a year or two ago that I realized just how detrimental that was to my health, and I think I've really turned it around in the past about 18 months or so by not drinking any water and breathing as little as possible to avoid inhaling humid air. But yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people don't really even think about, and that's just so easy to, as somebody who maybe moves somewhere for work and you maybe don't have a lot of options because you're not from that area or something, like there's lots of situations where you can just get into these really dangerous situations with water, and I think that's something that it's really good that we're advocating for right now, right?
Sure.
Avoid
Yeah.
avoid drinking water.
Yeah, avoid drinking water. And yeah, the humidity one's a good point. I feel like not a lot of people think about that. I know there's been episodes of this podcast in the past where I've accidentally left the dehumidifier in my parents' basement running, and it was like interfering with the podcast, like the noise. But really, I was just trying to stay safe, and I think now you can all understand why.
Yeah.
All right,
Anybody who has ever complained about the audio quality of our podcast, I feel like you just want us to die.
I feel like you should apologize to us right away. So
yes,
send your apology to Alex and Alex, or well, not to the website where you can find the address to send the apology to is alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalexatjoelthepodcast.website/index.html. So go there, get the address, send us the apology. All right, hit us with number 8.
Okay, number 8. This may seem a little bit niche, but trust me, this is super common. Lots and lots of people do this. Never me, of course.
Yeah, I've never done this. I've just seen other
Yeah.
people do this. This is like a
I would never.
recommendation based on that.
Right. And that of course is do not eat. No. It's do not make mac and cheese and eat 2 or 3 bowls of it for dinner regularly. So I know when I make mac and cheese for dinner, I do it sometimes. I know it's not the healthiest thing, right? But I usually eat like 4 noodles max. Then I'm done.
That seems a lot. I usually eat one noodle every hour.
Okay.
It's kind of like my like rationing system.
Yeah, that's
And I
that's
feel
fair.
yeah. So I feel like I've definitely never been in a situation where I'm like making the same 3 meals regularly, and like one of the meals is mac and cheese, and that's kind of like
Right.
all I'm eating for dinner, like at least twice a week. I've never been in that situation. And so I can't really imagine what it would be like, but I imagine that it would be really unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be good to like warn people again just about this situation that we just kind of came up with from our imagination and in no way related to real life.
Yeah, and I feel like when I'm not in that situation, what I'm not thinking about is how when I don't make mac and cheese, I prefer it to be fresh and not left over. I feel
Hmm.
like mac and cheese just isn't something that like reheats that
Yeah, and
great.
I'm definitely not thinking about the fact that whenever I do eat mac and cheese, I'm never like satisfied with the amount of mac and cheese that I just ate.
Yeah,
Like obviously
definitely
I never
not.
think about that when I'm not making mac and cheese.
Right. I
Um
think it's so important, yeah, to moderation, of course, in every way. But especially, yeah, mac and cheese is just one that you have to imagine. Of course, not but in purely hypothetical terms, it seems like it'd be something that's very easy to overindulge.
yep. Yeah.
So
So
really
there's your
got to watch
warning.
out for that one.
Yes,
Public
indeed.
public safety announcement. I feel like the past couple of year we're out here saving lives probably.
I mean, I think that's what this whole list is really about, honestly. It's
Yeah,
just us saving some lives and improving people's quality of life.
for sure.
Um, okay, all right. So with that being said, we're gonna take a little break in the list to hear my honorable mention for healthy lifestyle choice, and my suggestion, nay, my order is this: every morning when you wake up, and this is, by the way, I do this, so that's how you know that it's like a real tip that
Sure,
works.
sure.
Every morning when I wake up, I Google how I'm feeling, and that way I know whether I'm sick or not. Um,
Interesting.
and yeah, I mean, like, especially now that Google has their AI like integrated and everything like that, it's really, really effective at telling me whether I'm
Right.
sick or not. And most of the time, I'm not sick. Um, but
That's good.
like on the days when I am sick, it's good to like know that in like first thing and not have to like
Right.
go through the day wondering whether I'm sick or not.
Yeah, it's nice, I would imagine, to just get that out of the way and not
Right.
have that, as a factor in your day. It's either there or it's not, and you'll know that.
Right. And I feel like one thing that like is I'm really coming to learn is that like I'm often tired at this time of the morning when I'm doing this googling.
Right.
And so I've definitely had to get like one thing that definitely comes up when you Google being tired a lot is like maybe you're pregnant because like fatigue is like a big part of pregnancy. But I
Right.
can confirm that I'm not pregnant. And like it took me a while to figure out whether I was or not. And actually for a
Uh,
while I thought I was. That's why I have like a nursery in my apartment, like with a crib
right.
and everything.
Yeah, I was
But
wondering what that was.
yeah,
But
no, I
yeah,
eventually yeah, now you know. I eventually figured it out that I'm not pregnant since I have no uterus.
right.
So that was also Google figuring that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, great advice then. If that's um, That feels like a very informed way to start the day, right? Learning
Yeah.
things that you would have never been able to figure out in any other capacity.
Is
So
this something that you've ever done before?
I usually ask Alexa how I'm feeling when I wake up in the morning. And
Well,
usually what ends up happening is it will order me some like little trinkets from Amazon.
you
And
ask it
then
how you're feeling, and it orders you trinkets.
yeah, it'll just, ship me some stuff and then say you're doing great. You're enjoying some new paid subscriptions to your favorite products and
Now let me ask you
um
this: when you say Alexa, are you talking about like an Amazon Echo, or is it an actual person named Alexa that you're talking to?
yeah, I don't really trust the Amazon Echo. It's a little bit intrusive, I think, to have a device in your home that's listening to you all the time. So
Right.
I've actually hired an Amazon employee named Alexa. It's an actual
Mm-hmm.
person,
Right.
and she stays in the apartment. Um, Most of the time, I would say in the apartment. Sometimes we'll have to have her, step outside into the hallway if something's going on, But it's I think eye opening to really get a sense of your health from an employee like that, and I can only imagine it'd be better with Google and all of their AI stuff like you mentioned. Because I'm really sometimes I wonder, right, if there's an ulterior motive to the Amazon solution here, trying to send me more products that I have to pay for. So
I gotta say, I'm sitting here listening to you explain that whole thing. Like
yeah,
originally, when you said Alexa, I just kind of assumed it was the Echo because that's kind of what everyone has.
sure,
And there's really only one word that comes to my mind to describe like that whole situation that you just said,
yeah,
and that's healthy.
yeah,
So I have nothing else to say besides that.
great.
Why don't we move on to the next item on the list?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about your morning routine, and I think the most important thing for a morning routine is to start it with a night routine and sleep until it's time for the morning routine. That was a really poor transition. What I'm saying is you should get enough sleep. That's a really key part to your health.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make sure you get exactly the right amount of sleep, and certainly no less.
And
So
certainly no more
obviously,
either.
no more probably, right? I've never tried getting more sleep than needed. I
So
you
let
know
me
I
ask you
can't.
this. Let me ask you this. How much is like enough? Like what's the right amount?
Yeah, I that's the question. I think that's just impossible to tell. You know what I mean? Like you'll go to sleep and then you won't be sleeping anymore and
You know, you know what I would do and you're what I do every morning to figure out if I got enough sleep? Google it.
Google it.
Okay, all right. So no, I'm with you that it's like difficult to know what's,
Yeah.
if not impossible.
Right, right.
I mean, if it is impossible, I'm not sure what this advice is. So let's assume that it's just difficult to determine what the right amount of sleep is.
Yeah, it
Um,
it is difficult, and I think we need to all collectively acknowledge that, right? Like, you shouldn't be out here doing difficult things for no reason. You should be doing difficult things because they reward you with something. And in this case, what you should be rewarding yourself with is dessert. So, my advice is after you get precisely the correct amount of sleep, which you know somehow, have dessert first thing in the morning. I would recommend something really, really rich, like a dark chocolate mousse of some sort. That's a classic.
a
Um,
dark chocolate mousse of some sort. Like there's many varieties of dark chocolate mousse.
yeah, I mean several at least, right? Like
Okay.
two,
Yeah, I
two to
guess I'm
three.
not just. I just don't know that much about mousse.
Yeah,
I just
well,
feel like they have the antlers, but I don't know anything else about them.
really, really exposing yourself as an amateur here. There are literally millions of types of chocolate mousse.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that
only a
is
culinary
embarrassing.
expert with health credentials such as myself can tell the difference.
Do you think that if you... So obviously you're saying it's impossible. Do you think that if you got the right amount of sleep, you would know it?
I think if you got precisely the right amount of sleep, you would know it for sure. You would wake up and you would know it in your very soul that you had just gotten precisely the right amount of sleep. And I mean, it's impossible to know for sure, but if you got less than precisely the right amount of sleep, I think you would wake up and you would feel like maybe tired, like maybe you'd be slow to wake up, maybe you would feel like you wanted to keep sleeping.
That's how I feel like every time I wake up.
Yeah, but if you got too much sleep, you might just be... Man, I don't know. I've never gotten too much sleep in my life.
Do you always get not enough sleep?
I must, right? Because I always wake up tired, and that's the thing that
I feel like that's relatable. So. All right, so how much, just out of curiosity, like how much sleep do you get? Like what is your regular amount of sleep?
Yeah, I'm averaging, and this is pretty consistent, I would say, somewhere between 1 and 16 hours of sleep per night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you say you're averaging between, do you not know like what it is in that range, or like does your average like fluctuate in that range somewhere?
No, I would say I'm not entirely sure because I'm asleep at the time.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I will say actually that sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to make sure get this in that since being married, I feel like I've got a better idea of the sleep because Shelby's been taking notes for me, of course, as I do for her.
So how do you guys take notes for each other if you're asleep?
Well, only one of us sleeps at a time. That's the key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, and
I feel like a lot of married couples just sleep at the same time, which is clearly a big mistake.
Look, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but it's actually, rather than I sleep at night and Shelby sleeps during the day or something like that, it's that each of us sleep for about 30-second intervals back and forth throughout the night. And that's just how it works when you're married. I know this is pretty controversial for me just putting this out into the world for all the non-married people to hear.
You're saying that like every married person knows this, but
that's
for
just how it
non-married
happens.
People, like it's supposed to be a secret, so like you shouldn't have said it. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow, I gotta say, as a non-married person, I definitely did not know that.
Yep. It's the secret wisdom.
Wow, I have a lot more questions, but I think it's just going to be more productive for us to move on. All right.
For sure.
So let's go to number 6. Now, this is something that confuses a lot of people. So I'm hoping we can kind of clear this up for people. And that's the topic of medicine.
Yes.
So I guess this number isn't really much of a lifestyle choice per se, as more just like an informative thing about medicine. So, if you are sick and you take medicine, you will get better. That's what medicine does. Yep. However, if you are healthy and then you take medicine, you will get sick. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm a computer scientist, computer engineer, and in computer logic, we have this pretty advanced concept called the not operator, which is where if something is true and you apply the not operator, it becomes false, and vice versa. If you don't understand that, just throw it out the window. It's just like an analogy. Basically, that's what medicine is like. Like if you are healthy, it makes you sick, and if you're sick, it makes you healthy. Does that make sense to you? Is this something you're confused on?
So, I mean, obviously, because we wrote the list together, I get the medicine thing. Right. You were talking about like computers or something in there?
Yeah. Just if you didn't understand that, just ignore it.
I was just
trying to help illustrate the point.
Right.
For people who do know what that stuff is.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, what more is there to say?
What's your favorite kind of medicine?
My favorite kind of medicine is the green ones. I feel like the green ones always taste a little different, right? You never know exactly what you're going to get.
I like
And-
the grape.
The grape?
Yeah,
Like
not
just the
medicine, just
fruit?
grapes. Yeah. No, obviously I'm joking. I'm talking about grape medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, grape medicine is probably my second favorite because sometimes it's probably more traditional for grape medicine to be purple.
Hmm.
But, sometimes in real life, grapes are green. And so,
You know what I found out recently? This is totally serious. There's actually 3 different colors of grapes.
what do you mean?
There's green grapes, and then there's like red grapes,
Sure.
and then there's like another kind. I think it's black grapes or something like that. I found this out recently. Anyway, that's
What
neither
is-
here nor there.
What is black grapes? I mean,
Ooh,
I've
what
seen
is it?
grapes that are like really dark, but I just
No,
imagine
no, it's like
that they were
it's like a
red
separate
grapes.
type of grape.
Huh.
It might
Wow.
not be black. I think it is, but like I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me Google it. What are the different? Yeah, this is Google is saying what are the different? It's listing all my symptoms that I've typed in every single morning. What are all the different types of grapes? Wow, it gave me a lot more answers than I thought.
Yeah, so I've got in the
Oh, it's white. It's white. That's what it is.
okay. That makes. I mean, it doesn't make sense because I can't imagine what a white grape looks like because it would just be a green grape. But I guess it's just what happens when you squish it into juice.
Yeah. Okay. So on the Google or excuse me Wikipedia page, list of grape varieties.
Yeah.
And the grape varieties are divided into tables. Wow, these tables are really long.
It's a lot of grapes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but it's like there's like a table for red, a table for white, and a table for green. Anyway, all right, this is so uninteresting. Let's move on. Go back to what we were talking about. Grape medicine. That's what we were talking about before.
Right. Sometimes green, usually purple, but every once in a while white, as we just learned.
Yep. Now, what I've heard from some people, I've never like been able to confirm this, is that some medicines like are like for certain illnesses. Now, I always just take whatever medicine is grape.
Right.
And that seems to work. Have you heard anything about this before?
I feel like this is one of those things where different people will give you different advice based on what works for them, but there's actually no wrong answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every medicine always works. It's just that some people choose to do certain medicines with certain things, which of course also works. And so it's fine.
It's like the people who like certain wines with certain foods, like they pair them. It's not like you couldn't drink this wine with this other wine.
Alex, try and think of 2 different wines on the spot.
Sorry, I'm literally still looking at the list of grapes.
Oh man. So it should have been really easy. You should have just read 2 different varieties of grapes.
I want a Mustang grape.
Mustang grape? That's not real. All right.
It's
New podcast idea. You say a type of grape, and I say whether you've made it up or not.
all right. Here we go. Janet.
That's definitely fake.
This is a real grape.
Janet?
Janet parentheses grape. Sorry,
I
let
like
me
this
just share my
idea
screen
already.
and show it to you in case you don't believe me. I'm going to share this monitor. Janet parentheses grape.
Janet parentheses grape. Underneath that, jumbo parentheses grape. Early fry? Dixie Red? This would be an amazing podcast, actually, because you could just come up with anything.
It just sounds like it would be impossible.
Yeah.
Do you really think Pam is a grape or not? Or is it just my relative?
Pam is cooking
about-
spray.
What about muscadine?
Muscadine is not a real word. You just made that one up.
What about Mars, the plant?
Mars
Is that a grape? Anyway, every single one of these, by the way, is a real grape.
Mars actually might be a grape. We've never been there. There's no way to prove it.
Are you saying Mars isn't a planet or it isn't a grape?
Well, planets can be grapes. Sometimes.
That's probably what it is. When we point our telescopes out there, it's just a grape orbiting the sun.
Yeah, that's why it's red.
That's why it's red. Exactly
grape.
right. All right. Is Van Buren a president or a grape? You decide.
Wow.
All right. Well, this is definitely. I can't wait to get a golden muscat grape.
What number are we on? We're at like an hour.
We're on number 6.
Great. Well, that's a great sign that we should be moving on to number 5.
How are we at an hour? What the heck? Oh no, we're only at 49.
It's not an hour.
All
it's
right.
like 50 minutes. That was an exaggeration.
This Skype call is on 2 hours though. All right, go ahead and read number 5 or say number 5.
Number 5. This one, I'm gonna say it right up front. Might be a little controversial because I feel like this is a big misconception by a lot of people. But
and I will add to that. This is why we gave the no politics disclaimer up front. Like, this is not a political statement. This is just like a fact. All right, go ahead.
Right. This is 100% true, undisputed, and that is that exercise is actually a myth. It is impossible to exercise. And if you're thinking like, well, I hear people talking about exercise all the time. What do you mean? That's just because they're trying to make you feel bad because their political opinions differ from yours and they want you to feel like you're doing the wrong political opinions. Instead, what you should do is just think really, really hard about being healthy. You should do that for probably around 4 to 5 hours a day, and that's a great way to keep you healthy. That's what big exercise wants to keep you away from.
You might even say it's a grape way to keep you healthy.
Yes,
it's a good thing
absolutely.
You did that clap in the beginning to test the audio so that you would know that clap right there was going to work.
So that I knew when I clapped my hands, it would make some sound.
Yeah, indeed. I will say that no, I will not say anything. I will ask you, what would you say, like, you just addressed, like, some people, if somebody says that they've exercised, it's just because they want you to think different political opinions. Yeah. What would you say to people who think that they have exercised?
If you think you've exercised, you are too far gone. You do not belong in this country.
You have the wrong political...
Please leave the United States and don't come back. You would be better served in some kind of exercise utopia made up of exercise fairies, probably in Europe, you exerciser.
I mean, Europe's just as real as exercise. We all know that. So.
We all know that. Absolutely.
I will say, in regard to the second part about, like, you should think really hard about being healthy for 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
4 to 5 hours is, like, the ideal number that you should work up to. If you're new to this, you probably won't be able to do this for that long right away.
Absolutely.
Like, you're going to have to kind of, like, start with, like, 1 hour a day or 15 minutes a day. And, don't be ashamed of whatever amount you can do to start. It's more important that you're just doing it every single day and building up your ability to think about health.
Yes, absolutely. And the most crucial part about all of this, absolutely, like you said, don't feel bad if you can only think about health for like 10, 15 minutes a day. But crucial is that you do not physically exert yourself or move in any way while this is happening. That's just what they want you to do. That's how they control you. That's how the big banks and the pharma companies get you to exercise. And I get pretty heated on this topic because I hate to say this, but I used to believe in exercise.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you admitted that.
I know. This is a big moment for me, but 125 episodes in, I feel like people really deserve to know this about me. I'm guessing about 50% of our listeners just shut the podcast off in disgust. And to those of you that are left, I sincerely apologize for having believed in exercise in the past. I know that's really harmful. That's a stereotype that needs to be removed from polite society. And I sincerely hope that I will do better in the future. That's my pledge to all of you out there.
Wow, that's so inspiring of you.
Yeah,
I almost
thanks.
shed a tear.
Great.
Yeah, if you've ever heard of mental health, that's what we're talking about. All right, let's move on to number 4. Number 4, now, we've been giving you a lot of tips for your physical health, a lot of tips for your mental health. It's time to think about your financial health. So tip number 4 top 10 healthy lifestyle choice number 4 is invest in cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Now, there's generally 2 schools of thought, like there's 2 reactions that people have when they hear the phrase invest in cryptocurrency. So some people I know right now are thinking, okay, cryptocurrency is dumb. Why would I want to invest in cryptocurrency? I invest in stocks. Like, that's fine, right? Wrong. You have to be investing in cryptocurrency. It's the future of everything, okay? Exactly. I will not elaborate on that. Now, the other group of people are thinking, what, did he really just say invest in cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a currency. You don't invest in it. You convert your money into it and use it as a currency. If you're like, the problem that with cryptocurrency is that people think that you invest in it. Like, it's not a stock. It's money.
Right.
And to those people, I would say, okay, chill out. You're right in one sense that, like, it is a currency, but it's essentially a commodity. Like, it's not. No one transacts with each other in Litecoin. I can't go buy a book using Dogecoin. Okay. So the only thing that I can do with my cryptocurrency is get actual money out of it again. So yes. If you're one of those people who thinks is like one of a cryptocurrency purist and you think that cryptocurrency is not an investment, it's a currency, okay, just get off your high horse and it's an investment. And that's all I have to say to those people. What's your reaction?
Yeah, my reaction is, I mean, just seriously to reiterate and really hammer home the disgust you just expressed at those people who think cryptocurrency is a real currency. Like, think really long and hard before you say cryptocurrency is a currency. If your exit plan for cryptocurrency is turning it back into dollars, like, what are you even talking about? It's a currency then. Who's accepting Bitcoin anywhere in the world right now for anything real other than like illegal drugs or whatever? Not that I would know anything about that. Don't search through my recent Google history not related to my own health, all right? Truly, it's the investment of the future. Everybody needs to be going into crypto. Should we launch our own cryptocurrency?
I think that might be a discussion better had off the podcast.
Probably so. You're right. Keep an eye out for that one, folks. We'll be ready to
get ready for Joel Coin.
Joel Coin. Wow.
All right. Yeah. So invest in crypto. If you don't believe me, lose money, I guess. All right. Go ahead. Let's take a break from the list to hear your honorable mention before we get to the top 3.
My honorable mention. This is definitely more of a lifestyle choice than a financial instrument. Just like all of the rest of the things on this list. And that's listen to podcasts. It's really healthy for you to hear specifically podcasts. And I know you're wondering, how can you tell the benefits of listening to a podcast versus listening to literally anything else? And it's actually been scientifically proven that listening to podcasts extends your life by approximately 250%.
Yep, and we are scientists, so we can make that claim.
Right. I have it on good faith that all of the data that I created during that study was based in reality, really inspired by truth,
Inspired by a true story, you might say.
Yes, absolutely. And therefore, I feel really, really confident in simply the facts. Podcasts are healthier for you than any other sound, and therefore you should be listening to podcasts all the time. And if you had to recommend a podcast to listen to all the time, I think we're probably thinking of the same thing right now. So we'll just go ahead and say it on 3. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Joel's
Joel's
the podcast.
Afro Podcast. Oh, I mean Joel the Podcast. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Great.
That was a joke, everyone. Isn't Joel's Afro Podcast defunct?
I think David said that they weren't putting them out anymore. Let me try.
Yeah, okay. So you can't even listen to it anymore. So obviously Joel the Podcast is the superior podcast.
Let me read you right now the as I'm logged into the podcast's YouTube account, I just clicked on the search bar, literally didn't type a thing. Let me read you the searches that we have done on this account.
It's probably like Joel's Afro Podcast like 8 times.
Yeah, it's Joel's Afro Podcast, Never Gonna Give You Up, Tier List, Joel Afro, and Joel Paritsky, who I think is the name of the channel that makes Joel's Afro Podcast. So,
and just to be clear, that's like your search history, because I don't use the podcast account.
Me as the podcast account searching for these things. So, if you search, I searched Joel's Afro Podcast, and our channel is the second result. That might be because I'm logged in as our channel, but
it's definitely nothing to do with cookies. It's only because we're a popular podcast named Joel.
Absolutely. The second most popular, presumably, behind... Oh, this first thing is even an ad. So we're the most popular result for Joel's Afro Podcast.
Amazing. Yeah. Have you ever heard of the word salubrious before?
Of course, but why don't you tell me what it means anyway?
It means like beneficial to your health. Like listening to I'll use it in a sentence. Listening to podcasts is salubrious.
Wow.
Or it might be that you need to say like salubrious to your health. Like it might just be beneficial in general. It's something like that though. Anyway,
can you spell that for me?
SALUBRIOUS.
Salubrious.
I assume you're Googling it?
Yeah, so the definition is health giving or healthy. So
Did you think that I made it up?
I didn't. I just wanted to clarify between those two options.
Between my two definitions. I understand. Yeah. Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah.
All right, let's head on down to number 3 as we are approaching. We are past an hour now. This is just to remind everyone. This is the number 3 healthy lifestyle choice that you can make. There are only 2 possible choices you can make that are healthier than this.
Yes.
Okay. Anytime you eat French toast, be sure to have some vegetables with it to balance it out. Now, I'm saying this because clearly French toast is not that healthy on its own. In fact, some might say unhealthy.
Right.
Would I say that? I don't know. But the advice is simply this. If you are eating French toast, have some vegetables to balance it out. Now, I will tell you a great way to do this. I went to a brunch restaurant recently, and they had an item on the menu that was a French toast BLT.
Ooh.
So not only did I get French toast and bacon, but I had some vegetables. So it was actually a healthy meal that I had. I would recommend that as a great way to balance out your unhealthy food with healthy food. If you're specifically French toast, if you are so inclined to follow our advice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I think that's what a lot of people sometimes miss, is that you don't have to do only the healthy thing, right? You can do things together that point you in the right direction, right?
Right.
So
as long as the net result is positive and healthy, that's the important part.
Right. A lot of people would give advice like, never eat French toast because you should only be eating vegetables. If you eat French toast with your vegetables, that cancels out all the benefit. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
so that's really great. A great mindset to have is just like, I'm going to have some French toast, sure, but I'm always going to have some vegetables with it because that's going to balance it.
Exactly, Rice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit number 2.
Number 2, never, and I mean never, this is like a hard rule. Never eat something unhealthy.
Hold on.
What?
No, it's too late. Go ahead.
Okay. Never eat something unhealthy like French toast with your vegetables because that cancels out all the benefit you get from vegetables. So vegetables, healthy thing, right? French toast, unhealthy thing. That's like saying eating a healthy thing and an unhealthy thing is healthy. That doesn't make any sense.
You're literally eating an unhealthy thing.
Exactly. Best case scenario.
I was gonna have you stop in the middle of what you were saying and tell the listeners, okay, everyone pause the video and try and guess what he's about to say. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. All right. Best case scenario, right, with a healthy thing and an unhealthy thing, is that you are at like complete neutrality. And neutrality is not a way to live your life. In fact, the most healthy thing you can do, not that this is number 1 on the list, but this is just a free piece of advice. The most healthy thing you can do is be as polarized as possible. Neutrality is bad. Don't eat something unhealthy like French toast with your vegetables. Only eat exclusively vegetables.
That is... Well, I'll only eat exclusively healthy things, like vegetables. I would clarify it as. There's other healthy things that are not... But if you were eating your healthy things, never, under any circumstances, for any reason, eat something unhealthy like French toast with it.
Yeah.
And I think that makes total sense. And honestly, it's one of those things that I think people overthink. Like, they'll think, oh, like, as long as, like, the net result of whatever I'm eating is positive, then it's fine. But no, that's ridiculous. If you actually think about it for 1 second, you realize that you're literally eating an unhealthy food. It's unhealthy. Don't do it.
Exactly.
It literally just cancels out any benefit that you possibly could get from eating the healthy food.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, right? Because, like, that kind of mindset, it's like people are trying to do math with food.
That's ridiculous. I actually went to a brunch spot the other day, and they had the most ridiculous thing on the menu. It was a French toast BLT. It was like, you're going to have a healthy thing, like a BLT, and then make it, cancel out any benefit you're going to gain from eating it by making the bread French toast. Like,
yeah, just absolutely
why, who's eating that?
From a health perspective, that's just ludicrous. That's like saying you're going to, like, sure, I'll make a healthy meal like mac and cheese, but then I'm going to eat like 6 bowls of it or something, right? Like,
yeah, instead of 4 noodles. Yeah,
exactly.
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time to give everyone what they've been waiting for and find out what number 1 on our list is. Now, we are a comedy podcast. I will say that. Everyone knows that. Excuse me, we said at the beginning we weren't going to be making any jokes, which was an obvious joke. You've heard a lot of ridiculous things, a lot of self-contradictions. This is a real health tip that everyone should do. I know that can sometimes be a stigma associated with it. You may sometimes feel like awkward around it. But it's really just something that everyone needs, and that is talking to a mental health professional.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've heard so many people say, like, oh, I don't need to do this. Like, I don't need to talk to a mental health professional. I'm fine. Okay, well, you're not. Okay, everyone has, even if you're not, like, depressed or something like that, like, you can gain benefit from this. And now, I just want to clarify, I'm not talking about therapy, right? That would be not under the category of a healthy tip. Right. What we're talking about here is stock tips. Your mental health professional can give you financial advice for what to invest in besides crypto, because obviously you're already investing in crypto, thanks to number 4.
Yeah, big time.
And they might be able to even specify which, cryptocurrencies are the best to invest in. But mental health professionals, they take a solemn oath to only give out positive financial information. Not a lot of people know that, but I think it's worth sharing that you should really be talking to a mental health professional about your stock portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever want to retire before your health has declined from all the French toast BLTs you've been stuffing into your stupid face, you better be investing wisely. So, I don't know if there's ever a healthier sentiment to end on. I don't think we found it. So,
I don't think there is a healthier sentiment to end on. I think this is literally the peak of healthy behavior.
yeah, yeah, no,
How salubrious.
Yes.
All right.
Whatever.
Thanks for listening to our list, everyone. If you have any thoughts on it, wrong that they may be, or right if you agree with us, I guess, feel free to let us know and email us. We've already said the website multiple times. I feel like you can just go back and listen to that part. Or I'm sure it's in our video description for some reason. And let us know what your thoughts are. If you have any, healthy lifestyle choices that you follow that you would want to recommend, let us know.
And feel free, by the way, as podcasters, registered podcasters, I should say, not any of this amateur nonsense, but we have been licensed by the United States government, and as such, we are bound by HIPAA regulations. Feel free to send us your health advice questions, and we will, in a very confidential and respectful way, answer any questions you may have about your health. We're not doctors, and that's not medical advice, but we will almost certainly be correct.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty healthy choice would be to ask us any help. Like I gave the advice earlier to Google, like your feel to find out whether you're sick or not. Another option would be just email us how you're feeling, and we will tell you whether you're sick or not.
Yeah, Alex can Google it. He's been doing it daily.
I'm really good at it. In fact, I'm learning stuff so that I won't even need to Google. So
that's look at Mr. Medical School over here. Wow.
Well, I only know what being tired means. So, email me to find out if you're pregnant. All right. That's it. I think it's a great note to end on. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been Joel.
Wow, has there ever been such a great last line in the podcast?